Well, the most powerful rocket ever built exploded after takeoff this morning on the coast of South Texas. It was smooth sailing for SpaceX Starship for about 4 minutes until stage separation. And that's when the Starship is supposed to separate from the booster. Instead, it started spinning, and then there was an explosion. This was not a fail, though. SpaceX founder Elon Musk celebrated on Twitter, saying the company learned a lot and will test the Starship again in a few months. Former NASA astronaut and Columbia University engineering professor Mike Massimino is here to break it all down. Good to have you back. I always love having you here on the set.
Happy to be here.
SpaceX is calling this a rapid unplanned disassembly. Is that a fancy way of saying it blew up?
Well, yes, sort of. What happened was once the vehicle, as you mentioned, started to get uncontrollable, then it has an automatic detonation system which destroyed the rocket ship. So that's what happened.
And yet SpaceX was, quote unquote, popping champagne, claiming success because it did clear the launch pad and it did fly for 4 minutes.
Yeah, they were very happy about that. It cleared the launch pad. They were concerned that it might not even get off the ground.
No, Elon Musk has been tweeting about that for actually weeks, about I'm just worried about the launch pad.
Right. They didn't
why?
Well, the launch pad's pretty fancy there because eventually it's going to be a launch pad that's going to retrieve a rocket as well. The rocket would come back to it.
Right.
So it's an expensive piece of equipment there. So they didn't want anything to happen there. So it got off the ground. This, again, the biggest rocket ever, got off the ground, cleared the tower. Also, it withstood the maximum dynamic pressure, which means it's building up speed in the lower atmosphere where it's still a lot of pressure. It's not like in space where it's a vacuum. That puts a lot of force on the vehicle, and that's the most force it'll ever have to live through, and it made it through that, so it lived through that.
Oh, so that is good.
Yeah, no, those are two very important objectives. And then where it started to go bad was when they lost a couple engines and it went uncontrollable, and then it was detonated.
You said it was the biggest rocket ever built. It's also the most complex and the most powerful. It has many, many engines, and 33 engines were all supposed to work in synchronicity, and 3 of them didn't. Is that what caused it to start to spin?
Yeah, that's what they think. I mean, we're going to learn more, but the early results are that they saw 3 of those engines fail, and what that did is it started to wobble the spaceship, and the guidance system wasn't able to control it any longer. It wasn't able to remain controlled, and that's why it started to spin and eventually had to be detonated.
Okay, so the goal of SpaceX is to land astronauts on the moon for the first time in 50 years, eventually colonizing the moon and other. Did this delay the mission in any way, the overall goal?
No, I don't think so, because what they were planning to do, Elizabeth, was to do the separation and then have the Starship go around the planet, not even a full orbit, and then splash down. But they weren't going to retrieve the Starship or the booster, so they got most of the objectives done. To get to the moon, to land people on the moon with the Starship is going to take a lot of steps. Not just this, but being able to refuel in orbit. They're going to set up a gas station there and then use that as a place to launch to the moon and then be able to land on the moon. And with people on board, there can't be any mistakes.
I know.
So there's a lot of steps to go, but this, I think, was definitely a step forward and a good thing, believe it or not, even though it didn't look that way.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.